Someone says string. Okay, anything else? An array, yep. How about numbers? What else? Okay, those are the numbers. And we also talked about the Boolean. Who remembers what is the true or false? We're going to have an example. But let's start with the, so we're going to do string, Boolean, and array at the very least. So save your first example as strings.html. I need to show you how to set the project folder. So far, we just have been working with one file, so it's not really, it has not been a problem, but we need to, when you work with multiple files, you actually need to set up a project folder in brackets so that it knows how to manage the files that are related. And I'll show you this soon as well. All right. So this will be, let's add a title here. JavaScript strings, one, for example. And then we're going to have a div with the ID of hello. And it will just say hello for now. And everything else will be in the script tag. So we have a comment, declare, and initialize variables, and note the escape sequence. We could use a multi-line comment here. So just to remind you what that looks like. So we have a variable, hello, to be a string. So we'll say hello, how's your day? And you can see that it's not liking here the second single quote because it thinks we're closing the string. So we learned last time that we can use something called an escape sequence. And now the interpreter knows that this is part of the string. Yeah, you can use double quotes. They just have to be consistent.
Yes.
Okay, and then I put a comma and then a space and the semicolon to indicate this statement is ending here. And then add another variable name, and I'll put my name. You can put your name, and it's a string again, so we want to put it in quotations. So again, the escape sequence allows you to use quotations or other special characters inside a literal string. Also, you can use it to add a new line. Right, next we're going to join the strings together. And the other word you here used would be concatenate. So that's the proper word really, which means join the strings together. We need to create a new variable. We'll name it hello message. And this is using the camel case. And so we combine the two variables. So the first variable is hello name. Then I want to have a question mark. So I'm going to add the literal string, which is just a question mark. You note that we don't put the names of the variables, the identifiers, in quotation marks, right? If you did that, it would interpret it as a literal string, and that's certainly not what you want. All right. So now our string is ready, and we want to place this string in the div hello. And to do so, we're going to get hold of the node with ID of hello. Remember me telling you about the DOM, the document object model, where every element, every HTML element, every attribute, every text is represented in the DOM hierarchical tree, and we refer to each of these elements as nodes. So that's why we're getting hold of the node with the ID of hello. And the node with the ID of hello is the div here. We've given it ID of hello. To actually make this, to call this in JavaScript, we're going to create a variable el for element, and then we're going to assign the return from document dot get element by ID, and I'm just going to select it here from the drop down. It's common that students will make a typo by maybe making it ID, right? So just pay attention, and if you just select it from the drop-down menu, then it should be correct. And it's purple, meaning that it's a reserved keyword. And now this is a method. This is a built-in JavaScript method, and we need to pass it the ID that we want to get hold of. And in this case, what ID is that? Hello. So it's a two-step process. First, we have to land on the node we want. And after we landed on this node, then one of the things we can do is replace the content. So this is what I showed you last time. And let's do it here. So we can call EL, which is the element containing the reference to hello, dot text content. And then we assign to this hello message. So let's try this out. Where did I put it? Okay, so hello, how is your day, Stani? If you put your name, it will say your name. So JavaScript replaced the word hello with the string that we created. And sometimes students would ask at this point, well, I didn't click on anything, so what is the point to this? Well, when we learn how to use events, we're going to add on so that when the user clicks, then that's going to trigger, for example, replacing the text. For now, we're just replacing it within JavaScript on the fly, right? In other words, if we commented out the script, the div is going to contain the word hello, and only when we add the JavaScript, it replaces it with our hello message string. I would like to show you the documentation for get element by ID. So get element by ID. If we go to the MDN Mozilla Developer Network, let's look at the documentation. Here is the method we're using. It's part of the document object. It returns the reference to the element by its ID. The ID is a string which can be used to identify the element. It can be established using an ID attribute in HTML or from a script. And this is exactly what we did. We have a variable element. We named it EL for short. And our ID happened to be the hello ID of the div. Right? And here's an example where we are changing the color. Let's see here. So this is an example where the text of a paragraph is changed on the fly to the new color. Right.
Do you prefer the Mozilla Developer Network over W3 Schools?
Yes, I used to show W3 Schools. It's easier to read W3 Schools, so you might find it more understandable, but it's not always up to date. So I felt maybe I'll just start showing you the right reference to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. But if it's very hard for you to figure out what the MDN says, maybe you can look up W3 Schools for a more easily readable description. Yeah. W3 Schools, it's okay if you're beginning questions and answers. All right, do you have questions here? Did you get it to work? Any issues? Yeah.
The EL element, like, is that, I've seen that often, is that like kind of standard? Like, you talk more about why?
Why did I name
Like,
it
or
that?
like, it's like, let's say you're gonna do multiple ones, like, would you name L1, L2?
Yes. Well, actually, so that's a great question, and we will do some more examples. What if we had multiple elements that we need to get hold of? Then it can get confusing. So no, I would not name it EL1, EL2, but I would name it EL hello, and then just name it so that it connects with the ID name, and this way you can keep track of and manage all the different IDs. Right now we just have one. It might be better even already to name it EL hello, but the point is that you want to connect it with the ID.
So the significance of the EL though is kind of saying like, this is a variable that's holding the location of where I want it to go.
It's the reference to the location.
Reference to the location.
Yeah. So it's holding the node or the reference to the location, the reference to the element.
Okay.
So is the ID we can only use it once, like the HTML?
You can only have one, correct. So you can only have one ID per element on the page. Now, if you can have multiple IDs, they have to just have different names. Hello 1, hello 2, and so on.
And we could call as many IDs we want as names.
Yeah, you can use as many IDs as you want. They have to be unique though on the page.
But in Java, we can get the element by ID.
Yes, as many times as you need to. And later we're going to learn there are also other methods besides get element by ID. So you can, sometimes you may want to get elements by the class name, by the tag name, and there are other options as well. This is just the first one that we're learning. All right, so this is the string example. Let's do a Boolean example next. And I did post links to these exercises, so you should have reference to it if you need it. Oh, I said this last time, but to point out again, so is text content a method? Well, no, actually it's a property. And how do I know this without looking at the documentation? It doesn't have the parents at the end that indicate a method. If you see, um, so objects are going to have methods and properties. The properties are like just a state, whereas the methods do stuff, right? So if you don't see parentheses after it, as in the case here, what this means is that this is a property rather than a method.
Sorry, get element by ID would be a problem.
Well,
Yeah,
get
that's
element by ID has parents, and we can pass it arguments. Therefore,
It's a problem.
it's a method. The ones that have the parents and that can take in arguments, they're methods or you can call sometimes refer to as functions. Technically, I guess if they belong to an object, they will be called method, but you hear them called methods or functions. So I'm not too concerned about that. Whereas if it doesn't have the parents after, it's a property. So you can assign it value, but it doesn't do something else other than getting assigned value, or you can read the value from it. All right, let's do the Boolean example. Oh wait, I wanted to show you something else. Maybe now is the time. So far we have always been putting our JavaScript in the same file, just for ease, since you're just learning. But at some point we want to start putting the JavaScript in a separate file. So let's do this now with this example before we move on. So the JavaScript is everything inside the script tags, but not including the script tags. The script tags are part of the HTML. So I'm going to grab here all the JavaScript and then Control X and then open a new file, Control V. This is all JavaScript, and then save this file as strings.js. So if we have JavaScript files, extension for JavaScript file is .js, and this is the extension you want to give to the JavaScript file. Put it in the same folder as the strings.html, please, and for now just ignore these JS problems. And if you saved it, then it should give you some color coding. All right. So this is the JS file. And are we good to go?
No.
No. We need to now connect the two. So I will go back. Let's go back to strings.html. And to connect the two files, we're going to use the source attribute in the opening script tag. So we're going to say src is equal to quotation mark, and then the name of the file. I told you to put it in the same folder, so there is no path here. Generally, you put your JavaScript files in the JavaScript folder. But for now, you just import it and then can save your files. And let's test this again. It should do the same thing. So it's the same as if you replaced where you import the file, it's going to replace with the code that is inside the file. And it should look exactly the same in terms of functionality. So let's make sure this works for everyone.
So you will put the JavaScript when you call it, you will gonna put where you want it to display or not necessarily.
Where you want it to display?
Yeah, because I think when with HTML, we usually put like in the head, we keep on the head.
Right.
What does that
You can put a script tag in the head, so that should work as well. Remember, with JavaScript, you can have it here or here. So there are some considerations, but roughly speaking, right now, let's save it. So save all, and that should do that.
Mine didn't work when I put it in the head.
It might be, so what might have happened is that the element hasn't loaded yet. Again, I said there are some considerations, so I don't want to get into this discussion right now. If it doesn't work, it's because it didn't load that. So, right. So the element was not loaded yet by the time the JavaScript ran. So generally, if you put it in the head, you want to actually use a function called document ready to make sure that your element's loaded. But so if it doesn't work for now, I'll just move it to before the closing body tag, which is the preferred spot for it.
And then the general convention moving away from putting it in the head.
Yes, it is, and that's why, even though you can, I've been putting it before the closing body tag. So just maybe keep it there. Again, I said this before, just because you can do something, it doesn't mean you necessarily should. There are best practices still to consider. If it didn't work for you, the other possibility is that you didn't put the two files in the same folder. So check to make sure that your files are in the same folder. Is anyone having issues who would like us to
Have
look
you
at?
wrapped
Darren?
script tags on the next page?
Is it working for everyone?
That's
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then let's do the Boolean example. It's not working for you. All right, let's take
No, that's good.
Right,
I
so
just think it did. That's
There's
sometimes.
just like the whole.
Let's demonstrate it most likely. It's either both in the same
Yeah, so
place.
it's missing the whole JavaScript altogether. So
Yeah.
double check your plugin, like on the
Sure. I
HTML one.
mean, well, I'm not able to use my preview, so maybe if you save it, it should refresh.
Scripts.
And it's in the folder.
Yes.
Um,
Okay, so now
Isn't that
let me
weird?
double check. Yeah, strings. And you saved it.
it doesn't have to be named string.js, by the way. It can be named.
Let's
Just
see.
makes sense.
And it was working
Oh, you know
before you
what?
moved
Okay,
it.
maybe because there's a.
White space. It shouldn't, but let's see, because it was working before you moved it, right?
Yeah.
So then
You don't want to override it.
let's go back to your JavaScript 1, 2 in a second. Semicolon, installed it.
Maybe it's the browser. It shouldn't. See, mine's just on the desktop. I don't know if that you drive. I mean, it shouldn't make it to the next.
I think there's something we're missing. It's always our fault.
Yeah. Did you inspect it on Google?
Okay, I think we're going to do the Boolean after the break. So if your code works, you can start your break. We're doing a 10-minute break. If it doesn't work, then I'll take a look.
Just one thing I noticed extra.
Okay, so the
Valve.
script,
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
script tab is the JavaScript file before the HTML.
What specializes?
This one?
PA.
Yeah.
It
So the
just,
script
no,
is part of HTML.
There's an I. C, E, C. Special, like that? No, that's all right.
So let's do the JavaScript tab just to see what
okay, you're welcome. Yeah, so. Okay, this
here
is exactly
so that's
what you have.
okay. So then we're doing the JavaScript.
Let's see.
You change it to the
Oh, I see.
So-
So she's saying it's
yes. Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me because that looks completely right. Strings.js. Strings.html.
The backslash is a escape. It's an escape sequence. It allows you to have an apostrophe, a single quote, which is an apostrophe, inside the string, so that you can use strings for your string.
Try single
Otherwise, if you
quotes
take it
just
out,
to see
you
if
will
it.
not be able to complete the string. So Control Shift types.
I mean, isn't it?
Yeah, strings, in that file. Oh, wait a second. This is what it is. You have L hello there, and there you don't have L hello.
Oh god. Okay, because I changed that. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, see, it's always our fault, but we reach a point where we're like, no, it's fault. I'm not crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm crazy.
There
we go. Okay.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you.
It's one of those things where, like, that's one thing.
And
The fact that I know
the
it
one
always
thing-
is.
It's user error, right? You know, something like this.
I feel like coding is a big pride swallower because I can't tell you how many times I've worked and they're like, no, this is correct. And I think to myself, Aaron, if it was correct, it would work.
Yeah, well, even like Monday when I was like, okay, I don't understand this. So I went home for like 2 hours. I could not understand anything in the box. I'm like, okay, I can get the box to pop up, and everything else was completely blank. So I'm like, okay, just 2 hours, that's enough. Like, yes, we did one right again. It did work. So I went to. I was like, oh, what about? I'm like, oh, so we got it all sorted. Except I realized this morning that I missed 2 decimal things.
Yeah.
But how I submitted it was I did it like this. This is kind of how she wants it.
Yeah.
Like giving us the code. And
Is it okay if we just submitted the URL?
Oh, okay. Well, I just wasn't sure, and I'm like, okay, I realized it was me, so I'll get points off on that. But
No. Also, the thing is that is the URL to the actual thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fine because I'll go in. I'll like what you just give me more information than what we asked for. So
Well, and that's why I wasn't 100% sure because I was like,
that's why grading is kind of easy for this class. 'Cause it's like,
well, and that's why.
nope, didn't work.
Well, and I like with Bill.
Oh, did Bill take a long time to grade? When I took him last time, he like graded like I would turn it. Of course, usually I turn it in 1 day early. I think he probably appreciated it in a way. Oh no, that's weird.
Yeah, it's it was the same thing with Sarah. They were taking like a month sometimes to cross.
For Bill's class, I never graded anything. I don't know if he did one. Yeah.
Well, somebody else.
The elements. Oops, it's those little things.
That's those little things, of course.
It is the element, right?
Yeah, I thought it was getting. I used it a different way here. Yeah, that's correct.
That's not working.
It's usually something.
Yeah. And this is in your HTML, right? Yeah.
Yes.
It's already saved. No, the JavaScript. It is. You have to open the script.
People that are it does, doesn't it? That's why.
And then hello,
So, just script.
But now, if you go to HTML, take out this. Take out just this. So now you have script in there, right?
It's wrong.
So you have to change here, from HTML to that, because you put it in there. So you go into this.
But you know, to be fair, I've had times where I'm something I didn't know why it worked. I zoomed it out and this is and I'm like, I don't know, like, it doesn't happen. It's really.
So just type here. Type source.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep working on it. No question.
Like, what's the point of using JavaScript? So in this instance, there isn't, but what's going to be interesting is that as you go forward, you're going to time where it'll say, like, go to a website, there'll be a button.
Put the liquid on my eyes.
Like, change the content below.
That's it.
Or you can do things like, you can do, there's all kinds of instances where you're going to want it based on what the user tells you, you're going to want to change things, but you're not going to want to reload it. So this is a way, just so we have learned. What was it?
It's really hard to see because the color, there's a period in front of that bar, in front of the comma.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never saw that.
Otherwise, you're not sure that's it.
It's interesting because, like, one thing that's neat is JavaScript, when it goes from the server to your computer, all the information is sitting in the JavaScript file. So if you want to, like, change down information on the website without going all the way back to the server and coming back, the JavaScript can just go, like, because the information is already sitting on the computer. So you can be able to just switch it out. Give it to, like, other websites where, it kind of like will like define things down. Like, oh, like I want everything that's color red. Okay, it's in color red. If everything makes bigger than 5 inches and then it gets smaller, it kind of way it's sorting it out. Yeah. Why doesn't it hello? So what happens is it doesn't show that hello because JavaScript is going in and it's overwriting. Yeah, so that's what's cool. Like if this is broken, then you'll only see hello. Otherwise, it's a way to go in more top and change it. So it's like, yeah, like you go to a website and they're like, hey, what's your name? And then when the page loads, you'll notice it's like, well, Aaron, welcome to our website. Overrode whatever name was there before and it ignored you. Yeah. Yeah.
With ID of the
It's not working locally, you're using a server. This is working in your browser. So like, Right.
Let's do the same JavaScript.
I'll be right there, Morgan.
But what we can do is, where's your flower?
Oh, title.
PHP, which is the other controversy, everything has to be on the server. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing. I think that's one thing that's the big difference. Keep in mind that PHP is on the server, and this does all this stuff. So this one doesn't read it, and this one does it all on your browser last minute. So the difference in like where the job is. But this is better. And I thought that was your name. You know, so I'll just have to go back and get it. What's that? Do your card somewhere? Yeah. Yeah. They usually just put. Yeah, I feel like usually there's a stack to go back. Sorry, that's the card. I'm sure they just close you out. Yeah. They'll usually leave the we went to Whiskey's over Fremont. Oh yeah, yeah. We went to the goldfish racing. Yeah. I've been to that one. It's fun. It's intense though. I was so stressed out. What? I still went for the fish afterwards, but when I was doing it, I didn't feel good. I'm like, no, why did you? But it's also a thing like fish, like they swim in currents. That's true. That's true. All the time. I feel like the fact that like you're not allowed to touch the fish, like you're spraying water on it. I feel like once I start spraying it, the harder I went, the more it turned around. I wanted to swim like upstream. So like squirting was like this, like then I had to be close to get to like turn around. Yeah. But I made it always the second to last round. Oh, really? So like, if I had won that round, I would have gone to the final, and that would have been it. But that's fun. Yeah. That is one of the guys who does.
When you're spraying the results, that's why
Oh, really? He was like,
I can take a look.
that's cool.
It's fun. Connie said she would do something.
What does that say?
The goldfish racing.
I mean, I have a little bit of concern as far as how humane the basics of the whole.
Yeah, I thought about that a little bit, but I tried not to. I was only a spectator.
There is argument that fish don't experience pain. So,
well, and their memory's like 2 seconds.
Right. The traumas forgot.
Yeah,
We need to get started, guys. But
Okay.
So we can tell you why. So you have the EL here. So this needs to be a reference to the same element. So you change it because I was changing it around. Make this EL instead of EL here.
In any language,
So
like
delete the word
JavaScript, because that was HTML.
So let's follow why. Okay, I'd like everyone to give it their attention. Let's do the Boolean example next together. All right. Let's do a next example. So go ahead and create an HTML file titled boolean.html. All right, boolean.html. And I'm just using the little template here. So this will be JavaScript Boolean. booleans. And I'll just start with a blank template to avoid confusion. Okay. So this will be Boolean.html. This will be our second example, which will show you how to work with the Boolean data type. Again, the Boolean is a data type that only can have two values, and they are true and false. All right, we're going to create a div availability. So this will be a little program where the page is going to display if the item is in stock or not, and we use booleans to capture this. And so inside the div, I'm going to create a span element, which is commonly used. So a span element, if you might recall from HTML, from Web 110, is an element that is an inline element, and it's commonly used to add content within another element. So we have a span element with the idea of in stock. And this is the element we're going to work with to display data to the user. All right. And this is our only HTML on the page. The rest will be JavaScript. So I'll add a script tag. In the first line will be declare variable and assign value. And so I'm going to declare a variable in stock and then assign it a value of true. Next, we're going to get the node of the element. And by now, you probably remember how to do this. Get element by ID. And which ID do we want? Well, we only have one.
In stock.
In stock. And because we're using span, this will allow us to add on to the availability. We're not going to override, but whatever the text is here, it will remain, and then we add on to it, such as in stock. Okay, and next we're going to use a conditional if statement. And we're going to say if in stock, and then el dot text content is going to equal to this item is in stock. Else, and I will talk more about what's happening here. Else, el.text content is equal to sorry, this item is out of stock. And this is our code. So if I preview, right now, with the code as it is, the page displays availability, this item is in stock. So keep this in mind, finish up, test for yourself, and then let's talk about what is happening on the page. Second. You should see availability. This item is in stock. So what you should see on the page, it's a conditional statement here. And the condition, I guess I'll talk about it real quick. The condition depends whether the in stock variable is set to true or false. Right now it's set to true. And therefore, what we're doing here, we're testing if, when you say in stock is the same thing as if we're saying if in stock is equal to true, but this is a little shortcut. We actually don't have to say it. It means the same. And so therefore, is the in stock true? Well, the way we have declared it is, and therefore you should see availability. This item is in stock. Now let me show you. Take a look, please. If I changed this to false, so and save the program. If I run this, what should I expect to see? Let's take a look. And if this is false, this item is out of stock because, again, this is a condition based on the value of the Boolean being true or false, right? So I'll change it back to true, but I would like you, once you get it working, try changing it to true and false and see how the condition will print out the correct text content based whether it's true or false. Right? And this is a common example of how we use a Boolean. We don't print true or false to the user generally, so we put our own words to make it more user-friendly. Eric?
If you're assigning in stock as false, then if you get a statement. Oh, yeah, never mind. I see how that works.
Okay. No. This is a common error, which means that you didn't get the idea of the right element. So it looks like the case sensitive and you have a capital case as that. So we need to change this. This is what we capitalized. It needs to match.
No, it's just, it's not official.
No, no, she's typed this. So you put it in a separate file.
Yeah, it's linked.
As long as it's the same folder.
Well, that's cool.
Because last year I got his book and I like didn't even look at it. Yeah.
You put numbers
Oh, yeah. Oh, you already did it? Oh. Because I saw your thing was submitted like before the class even started, and I was like, okay.
So hard to tell like that was not in.
And then it's, so it's not one, it's just all different fonts.
Yeah.
And then the change on this thing, which is on that, so it's a change.
Yeah.
But then I decided to essentially just take the two difference and see how they work together.
Yeah.
So I have that part done. And then, so this wasn't bad, it was just kind of shades and fonts. But then when we got my computer's when it comes yeah, so like when I instead of when I first started, it was just kind of some stuff with that logo savvy thing because it was like, and then I had to write down which fonts I used.
Yeah.
Because these machines are something
Yeah, they are so good.
well, but they should have and I really tried to download stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I still
I don't know what company did I use to like come up with, because I didn't, I started like thinking of like random puns and just like made
Are you ready to do another example, or are you still working on this one?
So there's two.
So do you know time?
What for this? Oh, okay.
So then she changed it. She put that in there.
Here, and I had it,
So yeah, his was hard.
So I'll show you something again.
No,
I just like did like rough yeah. I like came up with like a 9 lives, like a tail, and then like or like ice cream, like how I love sushi.
Yeah.
Or like 9 a slice a day, and
Well, I think it's more like if you look at these examples.
This is, I don't want to.
That's it's just, you think I saved it, right? Right. Should I save the other one? Save
A lot of it.
We don't need to save
It doesn't have all these.
So like for example, like we have to do Sean who's now dead.
yeah.
So he called his big Bruton Productions.
There's apparently a way to set it up.
And then Calvin, he was in some work classes. Like he
Oh, that's cute.
so it kind of helped to kind of go through and do some of this stuff.
Oh, or just with my notes.
It doesn't matter.
Well, some of these, it looks like some of these are from last quarter. And then,
So there's no space. Space. Span.
okay, yeah, he kind of cuts through some of them, but like, yeah, so this one, like he did one design development. So it's more, my understanding was it's not.
Okay, element by I capital.
Yeah, because we have to make it for like as if.
So normal, because I did the same, I did
You
this
said you could do it
same
for that,
thing.
or you
It's
can
not
like.
working the same error. What's going on?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not like if the code editor
Yeah.
suggests it, I try and always post it.
Oh, sure.
Some people are
I
like,
think I'm gonna pitch him these ideas and then do like one for like.
no, I'm asking you
I
to
have
make
mine.
one.
I knew you could switch editors.
Yeah.
It's fun work. It must be some
Yeah.
small,
Yeah, it's a big help.
just
It's just dumb little things. That, yeah, exactly.
Didn't you say you didn't want us to say our names in it?
Like, this is just, and that's really fun.
I think we can make it like,
If, yeah, if you could make it part order, I think, on mine.
he wants, like,
Are you ready for another example? Okay. So let's do an example with an array.
Yeah, I'll look through that too.
But like the logos tab.
So who remembers what is an array? I would like to hear the definition of an array. What is your understanding? What is an array? Kind of like a list? What is a list?
Collection.
Index.
Okay.
Something that holds multiple values.
Something that holds multiple values. This is all, everything you said so far is correct. There's one other part about the array that makes it unique though, which is
It has an index. An index?
it has indexes. So it's a list of values, A, B, C, D, E, for example. And then their index starting at 0. So remember this as we go through our next example. Let's see how we can code an array in JavaScript. So new file. This will be the example from the book, but no CSS, just for the sake of time. So save as, well, actually, let's add a little bit of, let's add our HTML. And save as array. Excuse me. Array1.html. Okay, so let's add a div. With the ID of content. Div, right, with ID of content. And inside this div, color. And then we'll use a span again with the ID of colors. The default inner HTML will be unable to find the color choice. Please try again. So this little example is going to use an array to store colors that the customer might want to select from for their product. We don't really need the second div ID, but maybe later you'd like to add the CSS file, so I put it here. And then let's add a script. First, we're going to create an array and assign its values. All right, so there is more than one way to create an array. There is a literal array, and then you can use something called the Array Constructor. This will be a literal, creating a literal array. The array is a variable, which is a complex variable. So we start by declaring a variable. The name of the array is colors. And then I think I showed you last time, when we add the elements inside the array, we put them in with the literal syntax, we use the square brackets, right? And so in here, this array is going to have colors. So we have white, black, and custom. And then semicolon. And on this line, we have declared an array and populated it in this case with 3 items or elements. You might hear it called elements or items. Elements is not the same meaning as HTML elements. It just means an item in the array. All right. How do you update items in the array? So let's update the 3rd item in the array. You update it by giving it the index. So the syntax would be colors. If I wanted to update the 3rd item, what index would I use? A 2. And then we're going to make it beige. And then we can use the array to display on the page just like with regular variables. So we're going to get the element with ID of colors, which is the span. And again, var el is equal document dot get element by ID of colors. I noticed several of you had little typos related to the casing, so make sure that your case is consistent. If you have an ID with all lowercase, when you're calling it within get element by ID, it needs to be the same case, or it will say that it didn't find the element, right? Okay, and then we're going to replace element with the 3rd item from the array. And so text content, and then we say colors of 2. So let me run this real quick for a preview here. Right now it's telling us color beige. What if I comment out line 14? Try this again. As you can see, if we comment out line 14, it's going to display the original 3rd item, which was custom, right? So in the program, we overrode it with beige, and that's why it was displaying beige unless you comment out beige. So I'll let you finish this and play with it, and then maybe you can try changing the other items and then displaying them. Or you can also add additional items. As I mentioned, the JavaScript arrays are dynamic, so you can add more colors. Okay, so I added a 4th element. And maybe to show you also, let's see what else. What if I set colors of 5? There is no 5. There are no 5 elements in the array, so it's not going to, it doesn't have anything, so it will give undefined or it's not displaying anything. So finish it up and then take a couple minutes to experiment and play with it.
I'm not sure I understand what this is.
Okay.
Which line? All of it? Can you be more specific?
So when I see
Okay.
on the display thing, and I color choice, because what we're looking for is not in the real.
Okay, gotcha.
So it doesn't have, you get that three, so it should display pink. So you always want to make sure to say
We're
Isn't it supposed to say?
that, but you're not,
We don't have like a instance.
you need to do some kind of handling to handle it. Because right now, the only time it will display is if you don't override it. If you override now,
No, this is just.
whatever you take. You can do anything else. You can do like the length of the array. If it's greater than the length of the array, then text content equals to solve more.
Okay.
So maybe we'll do an example like that soon.
So when will it say this? Like if I put the 5?
If you put that, a couple of you asked me the same question, so I guess I'll answer for everyone. Well, so if you put a color, sorry, if you put an index that is not in the array, such as 5, it will still not display enable the to find color choice because it's overriding it with something else. So the only way would be if we didn't actually override it with anything. Right now is going to try to put element 5 in the array, which is not, there is nothing there. So it will override it with nothing. That's not something you should do. I just wanted to show you what happens, but it's really not something you should do. Generally, what you want to do is check there is a proper, I think it's property in JavaScript called length, and then you check how long the array is, and then you don't allow to write past the last element in the array. So let's see here. You're trying, well,
What are you trying to achieve with this one? Like, how does it work?
you're trying to achieve to learn how to use the array with literal syntax,
Yes.
and you're learning how to access elements in the array, and then how to use them to display content on the page. Right? So it's more about learning about the array rather than doing something.
And so they are making.
You use it in all kinds of different, any time that your data requires you to group something logically, you'd use an array. It's extremely commonly used. They're one of the most common used structures in programming. I mean, you could use it exactly as in the case here. If you had a product with colors, that's what you do. Well, we don't know everything yet. So right now you're limited by the fact that you don't know how to use events. Usually it would have to do with some kind of event. So this is all good. It's just you need to know more to make it be more realistic. I think that's what you're asking. Yeah, this is not very realistic because you don't know enough how to make it more realistic. But if you wanted the user to pick the colors, then you display the entire array for example, and then the user can choose, they can click on item, right? We just don't know yet how to do this. You can use a form, you can use just an element, it doesn't have to be a form, but we are going to work with forms extensively in the class. So let me show you something else.
Do you know if they have an equivalent bar dump in JavaScript?
You see the value of the variables,
Yeah.
or you keep on saying echo, which is kind of cute. Yeah, I think you just have to print it, or you can use JS links in one of these tools. So I wanted to show you array length. I guess you go to W3 schools. So take a look here at this example, if you would. It's helpful to know how long your array is, and you can count it, but if you have a bigger array, or if you are not able to see, JavaScript gives you the property length. And the length property will tell you how many items there are in the array, such as here. So this one has 4, and then if we add another one, melon. That's one thing that's nice about W3 schools, you can dynamically run. All right, so be aware of the length property, and we're going to use it later on to make sure that we only output the items inside an array rather than what is past the last element. Let's see, what else can I show you?
It looks like the indices could be a string too.
They can be a string, that's what we call the associative array. Correct.
Can we use that, the length in our colors?
You can.
So it's still give a number. It just counts how many shelves are
Right.
in your array, essentially.
So what I'd like you to do is what I wanted you to do last time. I showed you a couple simplified, modified examples from here. We coded them together, but there are additional examples. And I'd like you to go to the source code from chapter 2 and take a look at the additional examples that we didn't do. So we did create an array. You can also use a constructor to create an array. You might want to try putting together the code in brackets and then run it so you can see what it does. It might be hard for you to just look at it in source code. But just take some time to play around. So this is the constructor syntax for creating an array, right? I told you we use literal array syntax. You can also use a new, which is the way in JavaScript and other languages to create a new instance of an object, such as the array.
What's the difference between that and a literal? I guess I don't.
So if you want to create, if you knew ahead of time that you're going to create multiple instances, you can use a constructor, and this will give you. You can create a template with the constructor, and I'll show you when we work with objects how to do this. So you can crank out, or what is that? Not crank out, but you can produce multiple objects more easily with the constructor.
This is kind of dynamic.
It's more dynamic. Right? With the literal, we just create. Behind the scenes, it will still call the constructor. It's just another example of having more than one way to do the same thing. Right?
With our colors array, if we wanted to look at the property.
Okay, so how would we write this? All right, so if you wanted to know how big your array was, then you'd say colors. So colors is an array. So it's going to be it's going to allow you to use the methods and properties of the array object, right, by using the dot. So if we say array.length, and we need to print it, so you could do something like right, so this might overwrite everything on the page, but
That's the right line.
yeah, so right. Okay, so it, you could just call the length property, and then it's giving us the length of the array.
Okay.
Right. Right now we have, oh, we do have 4, right? Because we added the pink here. Eric.
I put in 2 separate placeholder colors, like where you have pink, but I put place is one that actually exists. So I have beige and turquoise is one. And then where you have el.text content lower, I put 2 of those. I put a second one underneath for the other color.
It
But it
doesn't.
only prints out one.
Yeah, so text content is going to only write one time, and it will override the existing content. That's why.
You'll be reassigning it the
Yeah.
second time.
Okay, so it just does the last one.
It will just the last one will override it. You can create a different span or a different element if you want to print more than one.
Okay.
Is it cascading to where like the last one written would be?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a script. From the
Yeah,
top
I don't know
to
if cascading is the right word.
It's more like the last one wins because it's reading it line by line.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like the last thing.
All right, so that's all I have for today, and I'll see you next Wednesday because there is no class on Monday.